Like, all right, like this happened. Yeah, you got punched in your mouth, right? You got your butt whooped, man. But you're still standing. You woke up today. All right, it's time to fight again. It's time to get right. Then you just gotta keep going. Like in my mind, there's no other option. Like there's no, and I think for me that's what kind of helped out. Like there's no other option but to win overall. Like yeah, you may fail on the way, but until this thing right here, whatever you prayed about, whatever you talked about from the jump, until this thing is accomplished, until the mission is complete, until you complete all your objectives, whatever the case might be, it's not over until it's over.
It ain't over till it's over.
It's not over till it's over.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, it's not over till it's over. And then if God keeps waking you up, that means I ain't done with you yet. We still got some work. Let's get it. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, you've been crying and stuff, but come on, come on, we got work.
Let's start it off right with R&B. Let's start it off right with our podcast, baby. Let's start it off right with one more guest. Let's start it off right and be better than the rest. All right, man.
There it is.
What are we on? Episode 47?
47.
Welcome.
Man.
R&B Podcast, episode 47 with Russ, with Blake. That's me. That's him. Thank God for the opportunity to have this conversation today. We got a good one for y'all. A brother of mine, y'all might have remembered Jason Strahan been on here through the same church, same network, same connection, same walk of faith. We got Mr. Patrick Raby joining us today.
What's the business, guys? How y'all doing?
Doing well, fella. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir.
Fitness mogul, I'm going to put that label on you. This guy is Mr. Consistency. Anybody that's worked with me, I tell you consistency is key in really anything, but especially when it comes to your health and your fitness. And Patrick's also in the fitness community like myself, and I've just been watching him over the past few years. This is the first time we're getting it together in person in a minute.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a while.
Just watching how you operate and communicate and motivate.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that today because it's not easy to do, especially, like I said, consistently.
Yeah.
Over time. So,
facts.
You know, we both went to NAU.
Yep.
We had ties before then. And you ended up studying what up at NAU?
So fitness and wellness is what I studied. That was, wasn't the plan when I got there. It was exercise science. I mean, it's in the same, ballpark, but when the viewpoint of becoming a physical therapist was like, an afterthought, I was like, all right, I need something in the same realm, right? So fitness and wellness is kind of where I ended up, and it was, one of the best decisions up until this point that I had made, considering what I'm doing now, doing something that I love to do. So, yeah, but fitness and wellness was the degree.
What is one of the main differences between fitness and wellness and exercise science? So
for me, I only say that because the answer might change based on who you ask, right? So for me, the biggest thing is, fitness and wellness, you kind of get straight into like anatomy and physiology and stuff like that versus exercise science. You spend a little bit more time, chemistry. You do a lot of other things. The road is a little bit different getting into kinesiology and things like that. Now, granted, being in exercise science, wanting to get into the realm of like physical therapy and stuff like that, you do have to know just a little bit. I don't know if more is the word, but different. You have to know different things. So that's why the route is different. So
they definitely overlap.
Yeah, they definitely overlap a little bit. So me being me in school, I was like, man, when do I get to the fun stuff? Like, when do I start learning about the human body and stuff like that? And I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to go in here. I'm going to try this fitness and wellness degree. After my freshman year, and then sophomore year hit, we was right into anatomy, physiology, getting straight into it, kinesiology. And then also too, getting towards the end, junior, senior year, there's not a whole bunch of traditional test taken. Our test was taking, people in our class and random people around campus. And it's like, all right, take these people through a workout and we're going to grade you on, how you present yourself, how you cue up different exercises, and pretty much everything that I do now as a profession, I got practice on that very, very early on. So, by the time I was able to get certifications and actually start working and getting paid to doing, or to do stuff that I love to do, it was just like, all right, it was easy work, honestly. Like as soon as I got involved doing stuff professionally, because
and you keep saying doing the stuff you love to do. What is it that you love to do then? What is that?
What is it that I love to do?
Yeah,
man. Honestly, man, I'm trying to find it because I don't I don't take this type of stuff lightly, but it's serving people, and it just so happened to be through health and fitness, right? Helping people out. And there was a lot of people along my journey that had helped me out through sports and athletics.
Yeah.
Especially me being a smaller guy, being behind the 8 ball and having to, really show your worth, so to speak, and show that you can play or that you can run or that you can do whatever it is that you're going after. The coaches that were along the way really helped me out as far as like staying focused, staying motivated, even though there's some people who may not believe in, what you're about and what you do. It's like, you can there's still room for you to go ahead and show them otherwise, you know what I'm saying? And also prove yourself right, because at the end of the day, when this all started, this was a dream that you had. This is something that you wanted to do. So even though there's noise, right, you can deflect that and you can still go ahead and do what you said you was going to do. So that's part of the reason why, after athletics, and I was like, what other route do I want to go? If it's not sports, right? If sports doesn't work out, what do I want to do? I was like, all right, I want to be that person to help others get to the places that they want to go. Yeah. Just like those coaches did for me, so that's what it is, for sure.
Did you always take school serious, like your studies, even before college?
Nah, man. That was actually the biggest struggle, man, when I got into, probably about, it was like junior high coming into like high school. The struggle for me in school was like, I always felt like, oh, these kids know more than me, right? So because of that, I was already defeated. So I don't want to. I'm like
comparison trap.
Yep. I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to go in here and study. I want to go in here and do, the things that I need to do because these kids already know more, right? And my parents would get on me all the time. They was like, Pat, you're not dumb, bro. Like just because you might have to go and get extra tutoring, or you might have to ask extra questions. You might have to stay, a couple minutes after class, before class, just to get the information that you need. Do that. Like, it's fine. Like, it's cool. You know what I mean? And then come to find out, like, look, in hindsight, most of those kids, were in the same boat as I was. Right. But they might have had a friend that knew that they was able to copy off of, or some of them was actually going to tutoring behind closed doors, especially some of the athletes, right? They just would never say anything about it. And it was like, that was the thing that I battled. And then once I got it, as far as getting the grades right, it was just like, okay, like, I can do this. And that kind of led into kind of how I live my life now. It's like, yeah, you might have to do X, Y, and Z when this person over here didn't have to do the same thing. It's like, you can still get to the destination that you're trying to go. Yeah. All right. Yeah. But are you willing to do what's necessary in order for you to get the things done that you need to get done? And that's a decision that, of course, all of us can make. And starting at that point in school, I was like, you know what? You might stumble, you might fall, you get up, dust yourself off, you go after it again. Because at the end of the day, only thing that everybody's going to look at is whether you got there or not. Right. So as long as you don't quit, don't give up, and continue to do what you need to do, you'll be fine.
I think a valuable takeaway for that is just also to acknowledge sometimes when you have to work harder, it's actually going to benefit you.
Right. Exactly.
We see people that have this quote unquote easier route, and we think that's what we want. And then when you get to the destination, they're not going to have all the tools that you have.
Exactly. Right. Bingo.
So you're more equipped because you had to put in that effort. And then once you get to that pinnacle, it's a lot easier to maintain too, because you're used to working hard, right?
Bingo.
And there's not so many surprises that are going to take you off the top, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. And it's one of those journeys that sometimes I find myself rushing and developing those things in my mind, and rushing that I want my work to come with the benefits, right? And sometimes you just work hard and you don't see any of the benefits, and that doesn't mean you stop working, right?
For years too.
For years. And that's one thing that's so hard, especially in the fitness industry, getting people in that mindset where like the things we're doing right now, we're going to be doing this the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Okay. And we have these short-term goals, but the idea is that you are making lifestyle changes, and these efforts are going to take a long time for you to see the results.
Yep.
Because the results that we're looking for are much, much more than dropping pounds off of the scale. And you talk about the importance of like your coaches and all of those people influencing you along the way. The guidance is important to have those reminders also, because it's very easy to get lost in the woodworks of that work that we're doing, and the destination seems so far away. And for me, I just tell people, pull up that picture you took when we started.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So remember, we've made progress. You might slow down, but that doesn't mean we're failing.
Yeah.
Right. And it's hard to also get people in the mindset of be willing to fail.
Yeah.
Because if you don't fail, you're probably not really trying hard enough.
Yeah.
Or you're staying in your comfort zone. Right?
Exactly. That's like, and that's the biggest thing, especially when I start working with anybody. That's one of the first things that we talk about is being committed to this process, regardless of what may happen along the way. This isn't no cookie cutter, like, like, oh yeah, in 6 months it's gonna be a great journey. It's gonna trend up. There ain't gonna be no dips, nothing like that. We're gonna be good. I had this goal of losing X amount of pounds. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get there. It's like, all right, what are you gonna do? When you have a rough month, right? You have times like this, like we're Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, right? This is where everybody starts this is where everybody starts to fall off, right?
Yeah.
And this is where the whole like, oh yeah, this new year, new me. Feel how you want to feel about it. That's like, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, let's prepare, for the road after, or let's prepare to go through. But yeah, like that whole being committed to the process, regardless of what may happen along the way. And it's almost like the way I explain to people is you're gonna fall, like you're gonna fail, you're gonna make mistakes, and
that's part of the plan.
That's part of the plan. Like that's supposed to happen. There's no book, there's no whatever that says you are not going to fail. Like you might get some things on your first try, but more times than not, it's going to take you, more than twice, more than 3 times, whatever the case may be. And the willpower to, all right, I know I got knocked down 100 times, but to get up again and to go after it again with the same intensity, with the same strength, with the same, mental fortitude, you know what I mean? Yeah. That takes a different type of person, especially now, because there's a lot of people who quit because it doesn't happen the first time or the second time or when they want it to happen. And that's why you have a lot of people who are in this, like we live in an age and a time now where everything's happening so fast, and people can make it seem like, oh yeah, I did this in X amount of months, or I did this in X amount of whatever, right? But the truth of the matter is, for one, all the realness is going to come out at some point. So if they're not telling the truth about it, it'll come out.
It'll be exposed.
Yeah, it'll be exposed.
Social media is dangerous, man.
It's dangerous, bro.
Because I think about it from a business perspective, and some of these people are smart. Yeah. Because of course everybody wants to hear they're going to get their goal in 30 days, and it's going to be easy. Yeah. And so a lot of people will build their business models around that. Yep. And then people are in this program and they're not really so inclined to get out. They're like, okay, well, I'm here, and like, I didn't get there in 30 months, or 30 days, but I'm going to continue in that way. But I try to be as upfront with people and straightforward as I can. Right. I think that's me as a nurse. Like, the honesty just is aggressive for me. It is. And I can look at people in the current state they're in. I'm like, oh yeah, you're gonna struggle to start. Like, I'm not gonna act like it's gonna be easy, right? Because then you're gonna show up for 2 weeks and be upset. Like, oh, you told me this. I'm like, no, I told you it was gonna be hard. Yeah. But at the same time, you're gonna be so much better after we do all these things.
Yeah. Do you guys ever recommend any books or videos or anything to your clients that can kind of help get them videos. But any reading, like, do you ever recommend any reading to your clients?
Man,
I don't recommend reading to my clients. I have a lot of clients that have reading required of them in their jobs already, I feel. I'll use like my lawyer girls, for example. for their job, being a lawyer is just reading all the time.
Yep.
But they also read for fun. They read fiction books. So I try to give them resources that fit better into their life. So I give them video references, thinking that it's going to break up in kind of the monotony because they literally spend all day reading already.
Sure.
Yeah.
I have a younger client that I gave him a book for his birthday, actually. And he got through like half of it. And he said he was benefiting while he was reading it, but then school came up and he's like, oh,
right. Yeah.
You know, so I like that you asked that, though, because I think it can be a valuable tool that a lot of people overlook.
Most definitely.
What about you?
Yeah, that's like, I wouldn't necessarily, like, we talk about certain books, like, it kind of comes up. So if I'm talking to a client or somebody, right, and if there's a conversation that we're having and, you know, you have like the light bulb goes off and you're like, oh yeah, I remember. And then, you know, something will come up and I'll be like, you know what? A quote, you know, I got that quote from this book, right? And then if they feel inclined to go ahead and read that book, go ahead and like one book that I quote very often is actually by Tim Grover. Super like in the training world, you know, it's trained some of the top tier, like high elite athletes, Kobe, Mike, Dwayne Wade, like, you know, some of the greatest athletes that we've ever seen. And it's about winning and pretty much talking about how, like, all right, winning doesn't care if you're tired. Winning doesn't care about, you know, the silver spoon that you might have had or didn't have. Winning is, you know, not loyal, right? It's not loyal because you can win 1 week and the next week it can all be gone.
Yeah.
Right? You win 1 year, the next, you know, year it can all be gone. You know, and he talked a lot about kind of like, you know, he talked about championship teams and, you know, things like that. They win 1 year, it might take them 5, 6, 7 years to get back to that championship game or whatever the case might be. So like that type of stuff will come up. But it's really, as far as like a bold like recommendation, unless I know that they really, really like reading, then you know, I'm like, hey, I
think that's my thing. I get under the impression a lot of people just don't like reading.
Man.
And I'm already trying to get you to do so many things. It's like, if I come at you with a book, you're gonna roll your eyes at me, right? Dude, come on, and then the other thing is like, I try to take this comprehensive look at health. Like, I want your mental health to be good. I want your physical health to be good. I want your emotional health. So sometimes that can be a little overwhelming for people when they start realizing all of these areas that they lack. And so I try to be strategic of how I approach those things. And, you know, if I give somebody a 300-page book, one person might read it in a week, one person might take them 6 months, right? And so when there's like a timeline of things that I'm trying to accomplish, I try to simplify things as much as possible. So like excerpts or clips from a video, right? Because me personally, I watch 2-3 hour videos regularly. And I'll send my clients some of those videos and they're like, bro, what? I'm not going to watch this. And I'm like, yo, just put it at 2x speed. And like, I can't understand, right? So it just depends on the person. I think that, you know, I try to put my clients in a situation where they feel comfortable asking me for things too, because I always have something ready to go. So it's like, as soon as they are questioning something, I give them the resources and it's there. And again, the process is so in depth and it really is long, especially for certain people. Like, for instance, if you come in and see me, you've never worked out before, you're on all these medications and you're having problems with depression and you're eating and all these other things in your life aren't really where you want them to be. It's like, okay, we got to kind of pinpoint. I don't want you to waste time reading this book. Like, there's some other changes you need to just go ahead and implement, right? But for you, is there any books off the top of your, because you read a lot more books than me also, so is there any books off the top of your head that you feel like as a personal trainer would be beneficial for a client maybe?
Well,
other than David Goggins?
Obviously, I know everybody who works out loves to get that inspiration from David Goggins, but There's that book that was written. I can't remember his name right now, but it was a sports psychologist. The book that I gave you called "Golf Is Not a Game of Perfect."
Oh, that one. That was one of my favorite books.
Yeah, and he kind of just goes into like the mentality. He would coach up all these PGA Tour legends, and he goes into the mentality of how they approach the game mentally when they're golfing in front of thousands of spectators, and they got to hit a 7-foot putt, and how that type of pressure isn't something that most people are used to. Because it's something very simple, but you got crazy. All these eyes on you, so it makes you speed up, adrenaline, all these different things.
For those of you watching on YouTube, I got the golf fit on right. I was golfing earlier today, and it's just funny you bring that up because I've gained so much respect for the game of golf just because, love the gym, throwing weight around, feeling strong. Golf humbles me to the max. I gotta slow down, and the technique and the precision and the consistency, it's so hard. And then not only hard to hit one good shot, but to hit consecutive good shots for consecutive holes. And then the professionals do it for consecutive days. That's right? Different, bro. It's different. It's different. And I think that people that have never touched a golf club don't understand it all. Because I used to not respect golfers at all.
Me neither.
When I played football, I was like, what? What do you mean it's golf. A sport? It's a sport? Man, sorry, Tiger Woods. I will never disrespect what you do again. Ever. Because one, I love golf. It's actually very fun to me. And in my adult years, in hindsight, I never would have thought that would come out of my mouth, right? Because it's so different. It's just so different. But I've also grown to have an appreciation for most things. Right? And I think that is one reason why I truly enjoy being physically active, because there's so much variety.
You can do a lot of things.
And I tell people there's no right or wrong way to be healthy. Like, I was outside for several hours today. Some people don't think that that's enough exercise. It's not intense enough, right? Now, do I think you should only golf every day? No, but today was really good for me. Having that time outside, the sun exposure. I got a lot of steps in and got some rotation and some core work. And it really took some maturing for me to kind of change the intensity and the style of my exercise. Because I used to just lift heavy, and heavy, and then I would lift heavy. My body hated that.
But it's interesting because, like, in that book that I was talking about, Golf Is Not a Game of Perfect, they talk about how this pro was golfing with the University of Texas golf team. So it's college level golfers and this professional. And at the end of their 18 holes, the college kids were only like 4 or 5 strokes behind the pro. And they're saying, they're like, man, how are you making all this money each year? And our scores aren't even that much different. And the pro is like, well, the difference is I do this for 2-3 days straight, and I can maintain the same level of concentration where you guys are going to fall off eventually after a certain amount of time. And I loved hearing that because it's like, man, that really is what separates people. You know what I'm saying? I think about, I work at a school and I'll sometimes play Madden with the kids, and they'll get up early and you just see them getting all like exhilarated, like, oh, I'm about to win. And then in that fourth quarter, I just come back every single time. And I be trying to tell them, like, bro, like, winning early means nothing. You know, it means nothing if you win early. If you know how to compete, it just, whoever is at that last second is what matters.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? That's true. That's facts, man. Then, like, and to y'all's point, I think that's the biggest thing, especially in like the fitness realm now. Like, and this is why I'm kind of torn, because I love the type of, like, I guess you could say the type of light that fitness is getting now. Like, it's super popular, right? It's super popular, super lucrative if you do it. Well, I was gonna say if you do it the right way, but there's some people out there who they're doing it, the other way, and they're still
do it the wrong way.
They're doing it the wrong way. You know what I mean? But the thing is, though, like I said, it's on one end, it's like, we're getting all this, publicity, all these eyes, all the light, right? But it's like the people who are kind of force feeding people like, oh yeah, this is the way that you got to do it and things like that. That's where it kind of rubs me the wrong way. Only because if anybody's out there, if you've been training, been coaching for a while, this phrase is always going to be in fitness. There is no definitive answer, but it's always going to be, it depends. So what works for me versus what works for you and what works for you. All three of us can do the same exact program. We can do the same exact thing, right? The results that I get or whatever I don't get, right, is going to be different from you and different from you, right? But we can do the exact same thing. We can eat the same way, but that's when you really start getting to the science of like, all right, everybody's anatomy, physiology, mentally where they're at, behavioral type of things. And there's a lot of kids now, especially, that's what they want. They want to live heavy. They want to do, what they see. I don't know if y'all know who C-Bum is. Everybody knows. If you're in the fitness world, you know about C-Bum, right? And they want to do the bodybuilding type of stuff, which is cool, which is fine. That's why my biggest thing is, in the beginning, when I talk to anybody, well, it's like, well, what do you want? Like, what do you want to accomplish?
Right.
I want to get big. Why? C-Bum is big. I want to be big. So, nah, man, you ain't going to, I'm like, nah, man. I was like, the way he's built and the way he trains, whatever, that's different, right?
Yeah.
Not saying you can't have similar results, but at the same time, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's one of the things that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because it's like, yeah, you can lift all this weight, but what about like real life stuff? Like, what does benching 405 have to do with, you hanging out with your kids or something like that, right? Or what does, you posing in front of, like, you know what I mean? Like, what does that have to do with real life stuff?
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, I get it. Like, I don't knock nobody's thing. Like, that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. I'm like, that's cool. But like I said, like we talked about earlier, the real stuff is always going to come out. And there's nothing that anybody can do at that point. If you was really about it, okay, it's going to show.
Yeah.
If you're not about it, that's going to show too.
For sure. And a superficial motivation is most likely going to make you fall off quicker.
Exactly.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Most definitely. Oh, yeah, most definitely, bro. And there's a lot of people. Oh, man, there's a lot of people that fall off that train real fast.
Well, you talk about like posing and stuff. I even know some dudes that have done bodybuilding competitions and they actually did well, but even them, they just fell off afterwards.
Yeah.
And then not only is that bad in terms of like your longevity and your lifestyle, but it's also bad that you put these things into your body and did this to your body to not even really have any purpose afterwards, right? Back to your point. And so...
well, what was the purpose in the moment, though?
The bodybuilding competition.
Just to win the competition?
I know a lot of people that will do competitions for business purposes. So give them credibility in the fitness realm. Like, look, he could get to this physique. Like, he can help me do it, right?
You do get that, yeah.
Right.
You do get that.
Especially if you get the pro card like Jason, right?
Yeah,
like, oh, he's a pro bodybuilder, right? And so there's that. It's almost like getting another credential. Like my RNBSN, he's an IFBB pro, just more letters after your name, right? Yeah. But it can draw in a certain clientele for you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it just gives you a one-up on some other people in the industry. Right. But when it comes down to it, there's times where I feel like it's almost oversaturated.
Yeah.
But if you look at the numbers and the statistics of how many Americans are actually exercising, it says otherwise. Right?
Yeah.
And it does come down to, I mean, there can be 20 trainers down the street and all of them have one client. Yeah. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Now I'm at the point I don't really believe in oversaturation. Like, maybe as far as like area. So if we live too close to each other, we're all working at the same place, right? Yeah. But in terms of the 8 billion people of the world, there's a lot of people that can benefit from your services, right?
Right.
Whether you're a personal trainer or I like the ice cream truck. I keep bringing that up. If you got an ice cream truck, like whatever you do, there's plenty of people in the world. It's all going to come down to your marketing, your consistency, and your dedication, and
your creativity. Like, this is why I love hip hop so much, because the hip hop artists that have like maximized their spirit. You think about, like, I like KRS-One. He's old school hip hop artist. Jay-Z, different people who they be saying stuff like, oh, like, I'm God body or I'm God consciousness, whatever that might mean to them. What it basically means is they feel like whatever they express is going to be valuable because they've tapped into such a creative spirit. Exactly. You know what I mean? And I love that, because that works with any field. It just means that you express some type of energy that people see and they're like, oh no, I want to consume that because that's helped me grow. You know?
And they do that from a abundance mindset.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. And the scarcity mindset's where we feel like, oh, I can't do this because they're doing it.
And that's what they say is poverty is like a mindset and it's momentum in just one field, you know?
And that's a hard mindset to break out of people because if you have never thought otherwise, then it seems impossible.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why there's so many systems set up to like not like let people see the other side or understand the information that can get them going into believing in abundance, like to really believe that, what I do is going to be successful and impactful. It's hard to get there.
Do you have communication with your clients outside of the gym, or do you just see them for their sessions?
No, I have communication with just about all of them. Only because, and to y'all's point, and I was just thinking about this as y'all was talking. I always tell people that there's a difference between a trainer and a coach. And they're like, oh, what's the difference? People think it's the same thing. And they're kind of intertwined. But a trainer, of course, is someone who can, 30-minute session, whatever, 45 minutes, an hour, right? Take you through your session, workout, boom, good job, high five. All right, you're out of here, right? Now you got a coach, right? Yeah, I'm going to take you through your session. We're going to go ahead and get to it. But then, at the running joke is like, all right, I'm your trainer, counselor, right? I'm your psychiatrist, whatever the case is, right? So outside of the gym, we was talking about how, you send like motivational videos and stuff like that. Of course, I do my own a lot. So it kind of, those type of things, and it's not all the time, but I can kind of, based on the week or whatever, because it's crazy. Clients come in and they're, although they're different and they're going through different things, the energy is kind of the same with all of them sometimes. So if it's like you got one client comes in, they're like, oh, they're kind of right?
It's one of those days.
It's one of those days. It's like that for everybody in some way, shape, or form, right?
I know what you mean.
So it's like, okay, and I'm thinking about it, like, all right. I just talked about this last week. I'm gonna send it to y'all. Like, I'm just gonna send it off rip, and then they come in. Oh, like I really appreciate that video. I needed that. You know what I mean? So on that level, I have that. And then too, you start training clients for a long time. You actually develop an actual like relationship with them, right? You start meeting families. You start meeting kids if they got kids. You start meeting people that are in their life, and come to find out they're like, yeah, I've heard a lot about you. He's been talking about you for ever since y'all started. It's been cool. So you kind of, if you're a good coach, if you're good at what you do, you kind of inevitably build that, at least in my opinion. So I like to, in the beginning, maybe not so much, right? But once you kind of get comfortable and they get comfortable, then you can start having that kind of line of communication. Like, hey, like, going through something right now. I need and then just me being me, instantly I want to like, all right, maybe I can say something to help them out. And maybe it might not be, the thing that flips them all the way around, but for today, let's go help them out. Right?
Sometimes it's simple stuff. Huh? Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. And it's a blessing to have that opportunity to be in people's lives in that way. And I think a lot of people take it for granted. Yeah. And it's cool that you don't just send them something generic. You send them an actual video, you being motivational.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And that takes confidence in you and confidence in your faith and the energy that you bring and your capabilities and vulnerability. All very important things if you're going to be in that role as a coach or even if you are a trainer. And I just think a lot of people are afraid to have like a emotional connection with people that they do business with. Yeah. And it's cool that in the fitness realm, I feel like it's more common. Yeah. I've definitely been to gyms where, it's more of like the aggressive bodybuilding type and that you don't see that as much. Or even some of like the athletic facilities I've been to, it's like high competition level, like seen as a sign of weakness to be like that soft or something, right? But those people that have that emotional connection and are able to communicate openly, those are the ones that have the best results because they're motivated to continue to work hard and they feel supported and they understand that there's a lot more going on here than me getting a workout.
Yeah, that's exactly. You made a good point that that keyword, people being afraid of tapping into that, but you start like looking at whoever you want to look at, especially since we're, on the realms of like fitness and stuff. Like one of my, God rest his soul, like Kobe Bryant's that's my guy, right? Even more so, of course, killer on the court, like basketball, he's up there, one of the greats of all time based on who you ask, right? But the mentality of like, him not being afraid of going to a place of like, this is basketball is the only thing right now.
Yeah.
And it's no mistake that he ended up being as great as he was, because there was a lot of players who came in around his time, just before his time, after his time, who might have been solid players, right? But couldn't really get to the level of greatness that Kobe got to, or MJ for example, or LeBron, or whoever you want to put in that conversation, is because it wasn't just the physical, right? It wasn't just like, oh yeah, we coming up in here, we're hooping. Nah, man, you wanna when you talk about legacy, when you're talking about greatness, like just like absolutely maximizing like your potential, you kind of, in my opinion, you have to be emotionally connected to whatever it is that you're doing. And like I said, the proof is in the pudding. You can look at any person who you deem to be great in whatever field, and you can tell the type of energy, the type of emotion, the type of connection they have with their craft. There's no mistake why they're the best in their field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't hide passion. You can't hide, like, if you really feel a certain type of way about your field, your profession, your spouse, right? You're gonna see that, right? And you can't fake that. You might be able to do it for a minute, but at some point, like, the cover's gonna come out, the curtain's gonna come back, and we're gonna see exactly what you're about and who you are as well. So if you've been lying all this time, it's okay, we're gonna see.
Yeah.
And then if you being for real, like, okay, like we saw it from the jump, but this is just extra confirmation. You know what I mean? So that's why, in my opinion, you cannot get the most out of anything that you do without being 100% committed, and that's physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Like, you have to be all the way in on whatever it is that you're doing. And that doesn't, nowhere in that does it say it's going to be this fruit and berries, like sunshine and rainbows type of road. Nah, it's that unconditional love. Like, regardless of if things are up and if things are down, nah, man, I'm not running away from this. I'm not deviating from this thing because I made a commitment to this years ago. I said I was going to do this years ago. And just because things are hard, I'm going to run? Nah, that's against the code. As I said, that's against the code, man. That's against the code, man. You don't do that.
Yeah, unconditional is a good, putting unconditional love towards what you do. We talk about unconditional love towards the people we love, right? And how a lot of people, unfortunately, haven't even experienced that, and it's a powerful thing, right?
Exactly.
But when you can apply that to your actions in your profession and your hobbies, whatever, the unconditional piece is what will help you elevate past the average, right?
Yeah.
And that's also what's going to keep you going, because if it's conditional, there's going to be a lot of things that pop up that make it easy to quit.
And that's a thing that people, I think most of us do kind of as like unknowingly or unconsciously. Like, when we talk about, like, we first set out a goal, right? We're thinking about it in the sense of, oh yeah, this is going to work, X, Y, and Z. I'm going to have this amount of money. I'm going to have this house. Family's going to be looking like this. We're not thinking about the possible, the possible barriers and roadblocks that might come our way. But, and I say that to say that I feel for most people, like I said, unknowingly, when that, in the realms of that, it's unconditional until things start happening, right? Until things start happening, then it becomes like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't agree to that. Wait a second. It's like, you wasn't even thinking about that in the beginning. So what's the, like, because you're faced with it now, it's like, oh, now there's a condition, right? And it's like having that mindset of like, nah, this is what it is.
No matter what.
This is this is exactly what I want to do.
By any means necessary.
By any means necessary, this has to get done. Right? It might take, and you know what? Who even cares? Who even cares how long it takes?
Right.
This is what I set out to do. This is what's important to me. And I gotta get this done. Right? There's people out here doing it. Right? And they're not different from any other person. They just, stuck with it, didn't quit, and they found their, promised land along the journey. So they could do it, you could do it too. So it's just but having that mindset in the beginning is extremely, extremely important, because we think about things and it is unconditional until things start to happen, and then it becomes conditional. And it's like, You know, you got to flip the script. Like, things are going to happen, but it doesn't matter what happens. We're gonna find a way to get through this anyway. All right, because we set it out for it.
Yeah.
You know
a good thing I've heard is under promise and over produce, right? And when I first started in this business, I would try to just lay out, like, if we do this, we can have this, and this happen. As long as you follow, and it's good, it's transparent, but sometimes you just have to dumb it down.
Yeah.
Because sometimes success is the scariest part.
Yeah.
Right? And so we get close to our goals and we start self-sabotaging, right? And most people can relate to that. Anybody that's had like a fitness goal, it's like you make this progress, you're going like, dang, I can finally start seeing my abs, and then there's this temptation over here.
Oh yeah.
And it's so easy to fall into it after you've done so well. And it's funny how that works, because it's easy to relate to fitness and nutrition, but you can put it in education. You have a deadline coming up on your project and you've been working hard, and you pump the brakes a little bit. You're like, oh, I got time.
Straight up,
And all of a sudden it's due tomorrow.
It's like, dang, bro.
And like you were saying, you guys met in a church, right? You guys first met in the church. Like, there's stories all throughout the Bible. It was the person who had all the things going for him that God was like, all right, go test that person.
Right.
You know, go send the hard stuff to them so we can see what their faith looks like. So it's kind of crazy, because that story presents itself all over the place, where it's like, once you start to level up, something comes to test you, and you're either going to be like, oh, I don't actually have faith, or you're going to overcome it, and then you're about to boss up or level up to your next, next point.
And that's like, it's crazy that we're talking about this, because I've been listening to this. He's a Christian artist. His name is Caleb Gordon. I don't know if y'all heard of him before. Christian rapper. But he has a song called "Yesterday Is Gone," and there's a line in there that talks about like he's reading, the book of Moses, and then he went to go read about David and Saul, and he was like, it's not about, what does it say? I don't want to forget it, because it ties into this. It says, it's not about whether you're chosen or not. It's about whether you're going to answer the call. Right. So, and it just ties into kind of what we're talking about here. Is like, to your point, there's so many people out there, especially in religion, talking about, oh, so and so's chosen, this type of people, or these type of people over here are chosen, and it's really a sense of like, all right, are you going to answer the call or not, right? So God's going to put the toughest task on the strongest people, right? So that's the way I like to look at it. It's like, all right, if you're going through a rough time, okay, what are you going to do about it? This is like, you asked for it, like, you've been praying, asking for strength, right? God's giving you an opportunity to be strong, bro. You've been, praying for wisdom. This is your opportunity right now to make a wise decision. It's not like, I think people in the lane of that, they have this misconception of kind of like, kind of what they like, oh yeah, I'm praying every day, I'm asking for this, Y, Z. Oh man, the road's just getting harder for me. Yeah. It's like, well, let's back up a little bit. What'd you pray for? Oh, okay. Well, maybe that was your opportunity to be strong in that situation. It might not have went the way you went, but that's what you asked for. So he gave you an opportunity to be strong in that situation. You know what I mean?
And maybe we need to show more gratitude and not ask for so much.
Yeah, exactly. Right? That too. Because there's a lot of people who are dealing with a lot of things that we've never experienced before, things that we probably can't even fathom, honestly. Right? That would probably kill to be in a position that we're in. Oh, yeah. Although we might be struggling in this area and struggling over here.
You got to choose your struggle.
Yeah, you got.
We all struggle.
Exactly.
And I think the people that don't think we all struggle are the ones that struggle the hardest.
Yeah.
Because they think they're struggling on their own. It's like, no, your neighbor's struggling too. They just got a different struggle, and they're not talking to you about it, right? And we just have to operate with more grace from person to person, because I see people just so quickly snap on each other.
Yeah.
Or I'll see people want to get a reaction out of me, and I'm like, I'm not in the mood to argue with you.
You got it, bro.
And then that makes them more mad. It's like, why aren't you mad? I want you to be mad.
Sound good, bro.
Yeah,
straight.
And it's funny. I hope my wife don't get mad, because she pointed it out. She's like, because I told her it's natural for humans. Humans want a certain level of stress in their life, and we have stress physically. We have stress emotionally. when things are going smooth, we do things ourselves to make our life more stressful.
Yeah.
And if we're aware of that, we can try to mitigate a little bit.
Yeah.
But Maddie was telling me, she's like, I feel like sometimes I try to get under your skin and it just doesn't work. I'm like, I think you're right. And it's not often, but I told her, I'm like, we have a great life. We have so much to be grateful for. And so it's natural. I told her, I'm like, I'm not gonna be mad because I get that. I expect that. Because I personally sometimes am like, man, things are a little too smooth. And I just know it's like the way of the world. It can't be smooth forever. Right? There's gonna be dips. So it's like, where is this dip gonna come? And that used to make me a little bit anxious. But now I'm like, I know I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
Whatever the difficulty is that comes at me, it's gonna be temporary.
Exactly.
And sometimes when you're in it, it feels like it's gonna last forever though.
It's funny that you say that because I'm thinking about another book, like it's very popular, The Way of the Superior Man. They talk about this book.
I haven't read that.
And it's interesting because they kind of say that sometimes like the woman in your life will kind of like test you in your soft spots, like to see if you have strength there. Like they might throw a little something at something that you're unconscious of or try to get under your skin, just kind of testing to see like how strong is this man as a leader? Like how is he gonna, crumble with this? Is he gonna get insecure about this?
Which is needed. I think the problem is now a lot of people think that's supposed to be toxic because it sounds like it could be toxic at first, right? Yeah. But like you said, they're testing you the same way that God tests us. I think that the women in our lives are just an extension of God. Like it's such a blessing that I have my wife, right? And all of the things she's made easier in my life, there's plenty of things where I've had to work harder that could have been easier for me if I wasn't in a relationship, right? But every single thing that we've worked through and every single ounce of adversity that we've faced has had a purpose. Right. You just don't see what the purpose is until after you've pushed through it.
Exactly.
And so fitness, again, is just so important to me because I show people like this is going to be a tough hour, right? Yeah. But you know how long it's going to be. Yeah. And so at least that should help you persevere and push through and try your hardest during that block of time. Because there's something counting down. But so many things that we face with in our lives, if it could last forever. Like you have an injury you're dealing with, that injury could hurt you for a long time. Yep. And that could be very uncomfortable for you just trying to get sleep. Yeah. And so it's going to wreak havoc in all these other areas and it can feel like it's never going to end. Yeah. But you have to do your physical therapy. You have to take it easy, do your rehab. You have to eat properly so you can heal. There's all these steps you have to follow. If you don't follow the steps, then it is going to last forever. You're going to be suffering for the rest of your life. Yeah. That's because you didn't have the discipline or take the time to just go ahead and do these 3 steps over here consistently because we have all these other things that we're focused on. Exactly. And so I love just kind of rewiring how people look at the issues that we're faced with. Because in the hospital, I see people, awful situations, awful. And it hurts me to think about it just because that's one of the reasons it's easy for me to be grateful just seeing those people, right? Yeah. And there's certain situations you can't explain to somebody unless they're sitting there with you. And that would eat me up a little bit in the past. I'm like, man, I want people to be able to be more grateful and be happier just knowing that someone else is suffering. Yeah. We think we're suffering until we really see suffering, right? Yeah. And the comparison trap can be very detrimental when comparing our suffering too. Yeah. We talk about you can't try to out trauma somebody, right? You don't want to be the winner in the trauma battle. Yeah. But at the same time, like life can hurt. Life can hurt. Yeah. Life will hurt. Yes. Yeah. But without the pain, there's not nearly as many glorious moments, right? You kind of have to see those depths before you can enjoy the light.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's really, your perspective on what is going to happen after the suffering is the main thing. Exactly. I think back to when my grandma was like towards the end of her life. She would be talking to me, and she had dementia. She's starting to forget everything. Right. She's starting to forget my name. She's starting to forget everything. Yeah. But the thing that she would consistently say is like, okay, one of these days I'm going to be with God. And she would just be like, I'm just waiting. waiting to get to God.
Right.
And then when she did pass away, I was thinking like, man, that's probably the easiest way a family member could cope with this.
Right.
She just kept talking about that she knew what was about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And whether, you know, out there you believe in it or not, it's like seems to be the easiest way to set your perspective to transition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's almost like you're waiting. You're like, oh man, I made it. I made it to this final, you know, congratulatory moment that I get to be up here with all these people that I love and all these different things.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to be harder to get to that point as science gets better.
Oh yeah, because more people don't believe in heaven or believe in the afterlife.
That and it's like you never want to accept that it's your time to go.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people talk about, because I'm a believer that, you know, in the next 20 years, people are going to start regularly living to 120, 150 years old, right? Mm-hmm. And it's cool. It's good. You know, in my mind, I'm like, wow, I could live to see my great-great-grandchildren play basketball or something, right? So, yeah, things like that. So, I mean, it could be selfish,
right?
But, I mean, it's science. It's the way of the world. And I, as a believer of God and also a student of science, I think that all of these innovations are what God wants us to do. We're just taking advantage of the resources. We're taking advantage of our mind and our capabilities, and we're pushing it to the limits. Anything that we're not supposed to be doing, God's not going to let it happen.
Yeah.
Right? Some people think we're going against God, like, oh, this is so unnatural. It's like, well, this is what God's given us to work with.
Yeah.
We're living in this era, in this age with the phones and the computers that can do basically everything my mind can do.
Yeah.
So why would I not use those to maximize my production, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, when it comes down to playing God in the hospital setting, I've really struggled with that at times. People that I thought should have died, we kept them alive, and then they can't function.
Yeah.
They're alive.
Yeah.
So that's what scares me. But I know that moving forward, there's a lot less of just saving lives and a lot more of optimizing life, which excites me. And it starts with us making decisions, though, because all the science in the world can't help someone get off of the couch and move.
Nope.
Right?
Nope.
So we can fix all these diseases, and then you're still immobile and weak. And yeah, you have all the nicest medications, and you trip and fall and break your hip and die.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
not beneficial.
Not beneficial, man.
Right. And people don't look at that, especially in their 20s, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, what do you mean? When I'm 70, I won't be able to do it.
Nah, invincible in 20.
But then talk to somebody that's 35, and that perception changes real quick. I know people in their 30s that talk about getting old. I'm getting old. I'm like, you better slow down that getting old.
Yeah, you better slow down on that. Yeah.
Because 75 is a long way away. And if you already feel like this now, then you really got to do something or else you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, man. That stuff is like somebody asked me one time, they was like, yo, like, what is like one of your like your biggest fears? Like biggest fears. Right. And I can't remember what they had said, but it was one of those like, oh yeah, I got a fear of, you know, water. I got a like big sea of water or something like that. I said, man, honestly, and this is just me being me, I can't help it. Like, this is just how I've rewired and trained my mind now. It's like, I said, honestly, I fear that when it's my time, right, I'm going to look back and be like, man, there's a lot of cheese and lettuce on the table that I had left. Or I didn't get my all on this one, right? And because I didn't really believe it could work, right? Now I'm sitting here wondering, like, oh, what if it could have? Now I'm living with regret, right? That's like the biggest fear. So like when people ask me, like, you know, like, Pat, you're always in the spirit of gratitude, man. Positivity all the time. You train hard. You train your people hard. Like, how can you do that every single day? I said, man, listen, I don't know when my time is gonna come. All right. I'm healthy and doing all that stuff. When God says, come on home, it's gonna be time, right? So I'm every single day. The mission is to, all right, 120%, honestly, every single day, because you never know when it's going to be a time. You know what I mean? And we talk about, you know, like we were talking before the podcast, you know, my grandmother had passed away back in April of this year, right? And she was 69. She was young, right? Now, she had a lot of health problems and stuff like that as well. One thing that, you know, she always did and that she always kind of joked about is like, I'm a fighter. I ain't going until it's time. We going to do whatever I can do. We going to do that. Right. Whatever I can do, we can do that. And I think if more people lived that way, I think the spirit of gratitude would be easier to come by. The spirit of positivity would be easier to come by. And I just tell people too, and as far as like rough situations go, I'm like, I feel you, man. Like, you going through some stuff. I feel you. But think about every other bad time that you've had, right? And tell me if there's one that you haven't gotten through.
Right. Yeah.
And they start thinking like,
you posted a video like that.
I sure did. That's how I got it all. I got it all. But seriously though, it's like there isn't a situation that you haven't gotten through.
Exactly.
There isn't. Like, it might have taken a long time to get over it or overcome it, but there isn't a situation that you've gotten through. And
undefeated.
You undefeated. You might have gotten your butt whooped, right? But like, you got up and you look, gloves is on, right? Tears is wiped, right? You wiping the dust off and you ready to rock and roll. So it's like this situation here is another obstacle, right? You've gotten over 1,000,001 obstacles, all right? This is just another one on the block, all right? So you go ahead and you handle your business, do what you got to do. You got to cry for a minute. You do what you got to do. You got to go ahead and scream at the wall, whatever you got to do. Like, whatever you got to do. And then just understand, after all those emotions are out, start thinking of rationale. It's like, all right, what do I need to do to get up out of this, right? This is another roadblock. Let's figure out how to get through it. And then you're going to look back and be like, man, that guy didn't quit because I wouldn't have saw this. Because I wouldn't have saw this, right? So that to y'all's point, that's like, that's a...
What do you tell people that are tired of taking the beating?
I say, what are you gonna do what are you gonna do if you stop fighting? What's gonna happen? Oh man, the pain, it should stop. No, you going through hell. Why would you stop here? Why would you stop here?
Yeah.
Why would you stop here?
Yeah.
Like, I feel you. You want, like, you don't want to fight no more. I get it. Like, I feel you 100%. But what's going to be the thing that you do once you stop? You don't sit here and just
burn.
Yeah, burn. That's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, it's your world. You can do what you want to do. That's your decision. I was like, you asking me? I ain't going out like that. Right. I'm not going to let life punch me in the mouth and get away with it. And get away with it. Not me. You know what I mean? So yeah, you might have been down for a year, 2 years, whatever the case might be, but you still got a choice to make. Right? You down on the floor. It might feel like life is keeping you there, but the only reason you're still there is because you chose to stay there, right? You can get up. Yes, it's going to hurt. Yes, it's going to suck. Pain's going to be almost unbearable. But like we said, it comes down to one choice, right? And that's a choice that you need to make, right? God bless you with all the tools, everything. That's something that you got to make a choice of. And I know for me, being young, and I felt like the world was just like on my shoulders back in like, and I was like 16, 17, 18. I was just like, yo, like, so much is going on, right? Look, in hindsight, wasn't nothing going on. It was just, it was just like, the small stuff just felt like this big.
Right.
But I was just like, that's where I started to develop like, all right, like this happened. Yeah, you got punched in your mouth, right? You got your butt whooped, man. But you're still standing. You woke up today. All right, it's time to fight again. It's time to get right then. You just gotta keep going. Like, in my mind, there's no other option. Like, and I think for me, that's what kind of helped out. Like, there's no other option but to win overall. Like, yeah, you may fail on the way, but until this thing right here, whatever you prayed about, whatever you talked about from the jump, until this thing is accomplished, until the mission is complete, until you complete all your objectives, whatever the case might be, it's not over until it's over.
It ain't over till it's over.
It's not over till it's over.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, it's not over till it's over. And then if God keeps waking you up, that means I ain't done with you yet. We still like, some work. Let's get it. Like, yeah, you've been crying and stuff, but come on, come on. We got work. I can't. This train don't move without you. Like that's why I tell people too. Like, as far as clientele, going back to the point where it's like, you tried to lay out like this perfect plan, right? I tell people, like, you really think I can see results? I'm like, I should be asking you that. I should be asking you, because
it don't matter what I think.
Yeah, I'm about to say, like, I have the knowledge, I have all the tools, right? But I was like, this is really a you decision, because this train don't move without you, right? I can give you all the greatest workouts ever, right? But if you're not following your nutrition, if you're not doing the homework that I'm giving you as far as workouts go, if you're not taking care of yourself outside of here, right? None of this is gonna work, and we're gonna be stuck at the same spot. And then you're gonna come to me and be like, "Yo, Pat, come on, dog." I'm like, "This was you. That's a you decision, because I gave this program to the same person over here, They locked in 120% and they got the results that they wanted and then some. And there's no difference between them and you. So what's up? What's the problem? What's good? What's good?
No, I have a client of mine, like you said, just not doing the homework outside. Dedicated when she's there, does everything I ask, but then, you know, a month goes by and she's asking, like, why haven't the pounds come off? I'm like, well, let's look at your nutrition. Have you been eating? Let's just backtrack, because I don't want you to be confused that we're where we are.
Yeah.
I know why we're here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to act like I know something that you don't have access to. So let's lay it out on the table and see what we're going to do differently.
Right.
Because you didn't follow the plan.
Yeah.
And that's all. All you have to do is follow the direction. And it's not easy, but it's, or wait, I was going to say it's not complicated.
Yeah.
But it is a difficult task.
Yeah.
It's difficult to follow directions. It's difficult to be present and not worry about the goal. People are like, I'm not at my goal yet. Where's my goal? I want to get to the finish line.
Yeah.
Like, we're still running the race.
Yeah.
We're still running the race. It's a 20-mile race. We're 2 miles in. You're worried about what the finish line looks like.
Yeah.
You're going to see it when we get there.
Yeah.
But if you cut corners, then what is that going to do for you?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to cut corners. Now, I've been trying to change my perception on cutting corners, because again, innovation, technology, there's a lot of resources and tools out there, and my opinions don't matter when it comes to the options on the table. So when it comes to like these weight loss drugs and things, I explain to people my opinion. I'm like, I think we can do it without that stuff, and I try to put as few foreign substances into my body as I can. And we're going to do this as natural and holistic as possible. Now, if you want this to happen faster, then yeah, there's Ozempic and all these shots that you can do along with it. Here are the side effects that they may not have told you about. Here's the expectation after you're done with the medication, right? And just laying it all out on the table that way. But comes down to it, a lot of people still go with the quick route. And I can't be mad at that. I just have to be prepared to adapt my approach.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. I here's my thing on that. Like, I tell people, you know, because as fitness professionals, they come to us about that stuff for advice, second opinion, whatever. I just say, if you were to do that, like, fine, right? But once the weight is off, like, you know what you're gonna have to do to keep it off? The same exact stuff that we're doing right now. The same exact thing. So you can do it, but if you're trying to run away from this work, it's not like cutting corners in that sense. You can't get away from this. Like, you have to get in the gym, work out, whatever the case is. You got to do your activity. You got to eat somewhat healthy, right? 80-20, whatever the case is. You got to do this. So if you want to, okay, like, you are a human being. You're an adult. You can do what you want to do, right? You ask for my opinion. There it is. They're going to tell you, all right, like, yeah, you lost 100 pounds. Now, to keep this weight off, you are going to have to exercise. You are going to have to eat right? Same stuff that we're doing here, but just because it's not happening now, oh yeah, I'm gonna run to this shot real quick. Let me go get this. Let me go take this pill.
I'm gonna get to the finish line and then run the race.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're doing.
It's like, I want to see the finish line, get the medal. All right, now I can go back. I can go back. Nah, man, that's working backwards.
And all the greatest, I mean, you brought up Kobe and his mentality as he approached the game. All the greatest, they get to the end, they retire, and they don't want to be done working. They're just like, man, I got to figure out some other way now to create a habit in my life where I'm still working super hard.
Bingo.
Because it's just who they are at that point.
Bingo.
And, and that's why it works.
Bingo. That's exactly why, like, the respect from, and I can verbatim every interview, whatever, but just his, like, the idea of, like, okay, I'm not running away from the work, right? I want to be the best basketball player that I can be. Okay, I got to do X, Y, and Z. And that's what it comes down to, too, is, like, there's requirements that everybody has to meet, regardless of the goal. It's a matter of, okay, whatever it takes, are you willing to do what's required? And then even if the requirements change, are you willing to, adjust and just so you can meet the requirements, right? So it's like, that's, that's what it comes down to. It's like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do about it? Like,
And the confidence comes in when you know that you're working harder than everybody else.
Most definitely.
Like, what do I have to fear or be nervous about going into this game when I've been busting my butt for the past year?
Yeah.
Right? Some people prep for the week. I've been working for 10 years trying to get this, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to show up today and knock me off my rocker.
Yeah.
Because I've been prepared for you for quite a while now.
Yes.
And I'm going to keep working to beat you again and again.
Yeah.
Right? And so, that dominant mentality, man, I don't know how people develop that without sports, but I'm impressed by it.
Yeah.
People like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, that's the same mentality.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they just want to win at business, and they want to be at the top financially and the production wise. And as far as innovation, like, I thought of that. Nobody thought of that before me, and I put it into practice, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm going to do it 10 more times. Like, these guys that are building rockets like it's nothing and going to, like, that's crazy level of dedication and confidence.
Yeah.
And people don't understand how much grueling time goes into making stuff like that happen. Like, those guys right up there. Like, I mean, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, those are the Kobe Bryants of business, basically, right? And
dude, and what they know really well is that, like, the symbol of whoever's doing great or the brand is just, the outside perspective. Like,
just for sure.
The way I want to say this is, take, for instance, Colorado, University of Colorado with Deion Sanders, right? They were talking about how his son came from the HBCUs and he wasn't going to be able to pass in the Pac-12. And he was like, well, my dad's been telling me since I was little, nothing about the symbols on their jerseys matter. Like, we're playing football. I thought about this because I got the privilege of seeing Kobe play when I was younger. I saw him play against the Grizzlies. And when he first came out, I've only seen Kobe in commercials, jumping over cars, coming out in the smoke and all these productions and everything. So when I saw him just dribble out for his first little warm-up layup, it was like so surreal. I was like, man, this is a human being. This man is out here just with a towel and some water playing basketball. And it just helps you to know when you strip back the production of all these great people, it's just another person who just dedicated time. And they got so good that someone slapped a Nike sign and an NBA logo and all this production around them that makes us feel like they're different from us, but they're not. You know what I'm saying? And Elon Musk knows this. He could look at NASA and be like, oh, that brand builds rockets. Nah, I'm gonna bring this brand and build rockets. You know what I mean?
That's that's like, and I wish people understood, like, the amount, like, getting there is one thing, but like the maintenance of staying there, or even more than that, going to another level, dude. That's like I'm like, you think getting there is tough? Shoot, I'm like there's no mistake. Like, I've grown to watch and appreciate LeBron a little bit more.
I was just about to bring him
up. Of course, like, when Kobe was playing with LeBron, I'm a Kobe stan. So I'm like, LeBron's nice, but he number 2, right? So that was me. But now, like, being as good, as long as he's been good. He's been good since high school, right?
Dude won the in-season tournament the same year that his son started playing college ball.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, bro, like, year 21, and he's still, look, you can tell he's not as athletic. He's still athletic, but not as athletic. He's not running as fast, right? Yeah. But still
got a lot of miles on him.
Yeah, can still go in there and give you, can give you the 35, the 10 and 8, like, can still do that, and ain't nothing you could do about it. And it's like, and people have the nerve to say, like, oh yeah, he was just blessed with the height, the weight. I'm like, there's a lot of people 6'8", 250 pounds who are not doing what he's doing, or at some point ended up falling off the cliff. LeBron, spending, I don't know, like, he spends what, like $2 million on his body or whatever. Like, dude, like, that's like the amount of preparation
annually
just to stay at the level that he's at. That's friggin' ludicrous. I wish people would understand that. Like, getting there, like, I mean, a lot of people are struggling getting there, but you have to prepare for, okay, once you get there, what are you gonna do once you get there?
We know plenty of dudes that, had potential, not LeBron, but something close to it. And you're like, dang, this guy's gonna have to go off. And it's just like, they can't even make it out of the high school. Right?
Yeah, like, we were just talking about that before we got on the podcast. We were talking about, like, the hoopers that Bashad had once I was there. Man, look, if you'd asked me back then, I'd be like, yo, all of them going to the league.
Me too.
All of them going to the league.
I would have said the same thing.
Right? All of them going to the league. And now that I think about it, from that class, I don't think any of them They might be like overseas or
But it
something like
just
that.
hits so much different when you pass those levels.
Yeah.
And you don't know what it's like until you're in that
Until you
level.
get there, man.
Some people have a
different.
big old wake-up call.
Yeah, you start meeting other people who have dedicated. Like, there's some dude in Illinois right now who's hooping all day long, and you guys meet up at a certain level, and then he shows you that he worked harder than you, and now you're like, oh man, you know, like dang, all these random people in these towns I never thought about have been going hard.
So it's like what is, and then again though, it goes back to making a decision. Okay, you just got your butt whooped, right? You thought you was nice, right? You've been nice ever since you was young, right? You've always been taller than everybody else, stronger than everybody else. Now you meet somebody who's just as tall, just as athletic, but also has the skill. So what are you gonna do to bounce back from that, right? Like, what are you gonna like? Most kids now, it's like, all right, you get beat like that one time. All right, I'm you know what, this ain't for me. It's like, no, bro, losing's a part of the game too. Like, you can't, you know, and that's just in life. Like, you gonna lose, bro. Like, you gonna lose, but you know, you gonna come back and do what? You know what I mean? Like, what you gonna do? You gonna let him beat you like that and then walk away? Like, come on, man. Like, serious?
Who's getting the last laugh?
Yeah, who's getting the last
It's
laugh?
the one that stays in the lab will get the last laugh.
Always.
Sure.
Always.
And I love that, you know, the game has always been there to help us grow into our best self, but the game doesn't need us. Like, the game's never been like, man, you need to show up for me. No, the game will move on from you, but it's like up to you to go work and grow yourself into the best self. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It takes when people get injured and they're sitting on that sideline and they realize that game is still going to start at 7 p.m. without them on the,
bro.
you know what I mean? It takes that rude awakening for people to be like, dang, like, the game doesn't need me,
No.
but I kind of need the game. Like, I need the game.
So let me get right then. Let me stop playing around. You know what I mean? So exactly, man.
Yeah, we're all individuals. We got our own brain, our own perception.
Most definitely.
And we got a lot of power.
Yes.
We got a lot of power. And we just got to keep moving forward.
Yes, sir.
So thanks for the words today, man.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
You always motivate me. I hope that people listening feel motivated. And where can they follow you on the socials?
Oh man, we doing the shameless plugs.
Oh, got to.
Oh man,
What do you think we here
shameless
for?
plugs, man. So on IG and TikTok, I am Patrick Raby. So AMPATRICKRABY. That's on Instagram, TikTok, on YouTube, Patrick Raby the second. Kind of was off the YouTube for a minute, so I am coming back out with some stuff. So 2024 is gonna be a big year of abundance for not only for myself but these two brothers right here, man. So y'all, look, I appreciate y'all having me on. We was just joking before we got on, like, man, I wasn't gonna ask to be on it, you know what I mean, be on the podcast, but I was like, you know what, I know it's in the neighborhood. I'm just waiting on word, and as soon as I got word, I was like, you just say time and the place, and I'm there, and I'm there.
Well, anybody having those thoughts, just let us know. We got the email.
Sure.
rnbpod@gmail.com. R&B underscore? No underscore.
On Instagram?
Oh, Lord.
Is that what you're saying?
rnbpod@gmail.com is our email. Instagram handle @rnb_pod.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Excuse
Facts.
me. Again, thank God for this opportunity. Thank God for keeping Mr. Raby in my life. And, you know, we go way back, have funny memories in church, man. And
Push-up contest, I beat you in that, dog.
did you?
I beat you in that, bro.
Did you?
I beat you in that.
How many did you do?
I don't even remember, but I
Yeah,
won.
you didn't beat me.
I beat you, dog. I beat you, bro.
Yeah, he got a couple less pounds than me. You know what I'm saying?
That don't mean nothing.
Nah, that's a strong guy here. He's a strong guy, strong physically,
nothing.
strong mentally. And so much respect for you, buddy. You just keep working hard. And you need anything, let us know. You're a friend of the pod.
Yeah.
Everybody else, y'all be safe out there. 'Tis the season to spread love. Share this with at least one person that you love, please. And thank you. I should have said that at the beginning, but if you made it here this long, then you definitely going to share, and you're going to like, and you're going to subscribe, right? YouTube, Apple, Google,
Spotify.
Everywhere. You can find us on the gram, on TikTok. I mean, where do you not see R&B Podcast?
Yeah, soon to be worldwide.
All right, I'm done.
Yes, sir.
Soon to be worldwide.
I'm done. Like last week.
Wait. Check the 2023 stats. We hit about like 14 different countries, though.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Worldwide.
Okay.
Worldwide.
They're gonna keep throwing them out. Yeah.
Worldwide.
And then we're going to at least double that this next year.
sir.
And that's on mamas.
All right, we're tripping.
Yeah, we spitballing now.
like last week, we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace. Deuces.